Okay, Greg, so we have the results of our Newsmax Snap poll. Your voice was heard, and with 93% of the vote, President Trump won the debate.
Wow, 93%. The 93% of the vote. That's a huge percentage of the vote. That's almost all of the vote. What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. And man, I'll tell you what, we've had so much fun. I'm a little tired today because we stayed up last night live fact checking Kamala Harris because, fun fact, no one else would. No one else would do it. The folks at ABC didn't. What does ABC stand for? Does it now? Does it stand for the Abortion Broadcasting Company? Because that's what they were harping on for a very, very long time. Does it stand for Always Brown-Nosing Communists? Because that's what it seemed like they were doing. It seemed like they were doing. And a big corruption-filled company. That's just a big corruption filled. That's the other thing. I think there's a bunch of different things that ABC could stand for, but the American Broadcasting Company is no longer one of them. And shame on David Muir, who I'll be honest with you, I was wrong. Rarely am I ever wrong, and when I am, I never mention it. But I was dead wrong about David Muir when I spoke about him earlier this week. This guy's farther to the left than George Snuffleupagus, George Slopadopoulos, George whatever you want to call him. This guy is, and that's the worst kind. It's the Democrat operative in sheep's clothing. It's the kind of person you go, he seems like he's okay, or he seems like he's unbiased, or he seems like he's not going to just be a dirty, rotten scoundrel, one-sided who's out there to bury Donald Trump's political career and handle Kamala Harris with kid gloves. He didn't seem like that kind of guy, but it turns out that's exactly what he was in the end. And I mean, not that I ever trusted ABC or any of the fake news broadcasting companies, but now I never will. And it's not just me, too. It's not just me. There was RFK Jr., who was in the spin room after the debate, and who I guess we've gotten to the point now where his voice doesn't bother me anymore. I don't know if you're there. I guess it's like you just get used to something. Like if you know somebody, I used to work with a woman who had a huge scar on her face, and at first I thought, oh my gosh, that's a huge scar on her face. I wonder how she got it. But then after like a year of working with her, I just thought, oh my God, she's so annoying. And I totally didn't. The scar didn't even bother me. It was just it was just her personality and attitude that really annoyed me. But anyway, RFK's voice doesn't bother me anymore. He was in the spin room with Sean Hannity, and he even called out the moderators.
The moderators. To me, it was a failed opportunity. I think the American people were failed tonight.
I was disappointed by the evident bias of the moderators who were fact-checking constantly, kind of trivialities by President Trump, but didn't, as far as I saw, they didn't fact-check Vice President Harris a single time. But you're right, Sean, the party that I grew up in doesn't exist anymore. The party of Robert Kennedy and John Kennedy was a party of peace. It was the party of resisting the corporate subversion of American democracy. It was the party of civil rights and constitutional rights, particularly censorship. Very opposed to censorship and surveillance. It was the party of protecting.
Okay. It bothers me a little bit. I was wrong, but he's right about that. The moderators were evidently biased, and they fact-checked Donald Trump like a dozen times. It seemed like, I think it was like 6 or 7, but it seemed like every time he said something, they fact-checked him. And the other thing is, they were wrong. They weren't even facts. They were fiction checking him. They had facts in their head that they thought that they're like, we believe that Donald Trump is a racist, so we're gonna say this. We believe that Donald Trump is just making up this story about pets being eaten in Ohio, so we're just gonna fact check it and say it's wrong. We believe that Donald Trump is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when he talks about postpartum abortion. So we're going to ignore the fact that the governor of Virginia did actually say that on a radio broadcast. We're going to ignore the fact that Tim Walz has floated the idea. And in fact, in Minnesota, there are cases where that has happened. And there are news reports, get this, on ABC's homepage that corroborate that. But I guess they didn't do that. I guess they didn't do that kind of fact checking. Here's the thing about fact-checking. When you're live fact-checking like that, when you're a moderator, when you're David Muir, when you're Linsey Davis, when you're whoever, and you're sitting there and Donald Trump says something and you go, we would like to actually point out that that's not true. Nobody at home is running to double-check your double-check. Nobody's out there going, wait a minute, but is the moderator telling me the truth? They just assume it is. And that's why this is so damaging, and that's why ABC should be ashamed of themselves for this horrible debate, because And it's not even the fact-checking of Donald Trump. In fact, Ron DeSantis said something similar.
Yes, it was a 3-on-1 debate. It was disappointing that she didn't have her feet held to the fire by the moderators. They went out of their way to try to do that to Donald Trump. But I think people that take away from this debate, even with all that, Donald Trump is the candidate that's going to change things. Kamala Harris is the candidate that, as President Trump said in his closing statement, she's been there 3.5 years. Why hasn't she fixed any of these problems during that time? She does not have an answer to that question.
Yeah, and that is something that's really bad. It's not that they're fact-checking Donald Trump. There's two problems. Fact-checking a candidate is really what you're supposed to do. Fact-checking a candidate, if you believe that they're saying something wrong, is what we want our media to do. The problem is David Muir and Linsey Davis and ABC News fact-checked Donald Trump incorrectly. Luckily, Donald Trump had receipts. He had numbers. He came back at him. He was like, no. You're talking about this. What I'm talking about is this. Or no. What you're talking about is totally wrong. Let me tell you the truth. But the other problem is they didn't fact-check Kamala at all. 0 times. And that crazy lady told more lies than me trying to get out of a speeding ticket. Oh, Your Honor, I'm trying to get my asthma. Your Honor, officer, I'm trying to get my asthma inhaler. My kid's sick. I got to go to the bathroom really bad. I'm late for court. Whatever a lie that I come up with. This is Kamala Harris at the debate yesterday. She lied about Project 2025 several times. They never fact-checked her about that. She lied that Donald Trump came up with it. That was a lie. They never fact-checked her that he had any part. He didn't have any part in the creation of Project 2025. She lied about the Charlottesville. She lied about, oh my gosh, there's so many lies. Where do I even begin? She lied about the suckers and losers. She lied about everything. Almost everything that came out of her mouth was a big lie, but she didn't get fact checked at all by the moderators, and that's it. Doesn't matter though, because if you saw that Newsmax poll, Donald Trump crushed Kamala Harris with 93% of the vote. This is my favorite ever. I'm going to play this 9 times today.
Okay, Greg. So we have the results of our Newsmax snap poll. Your voice was heard, and with 93% of the vote, President Trump won the debate.
Look at that, 93% of the vote. President Trump won the debate. This is why, by the way, this is why we love Newsmax so much. This is why we love Newsmax, and this is why I believe that that Newsmax is the future. Look, there's Donald Trump. He's retweeted the Newsmax snap poll. Who won the debate? Donald Trump, 93%. Kamala Harris, 6%. Now, Newsmax viewers are all over the country. I'm here in Philadelphia for just this. This is our final day in Philadelphia, and we've had a great time. If you watched the video yesterday, you saw we've run into some really crazy characters. The debate was so much fun to watch. There was a massive pro-Palestinian protest outside my door, outside my window rather, last night, right before we started broadcasting for the debate. We started at 8:30, and at 8:25, a huge crowd gathered right outside my hotel room and started chanting, "Free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free, free Palestine, free, free, free Palestine." And somebody said it sounded like, what was it? Oh, I forget what it was. Some kind of other funny commercial. Some kind of other funny commercial, but that's basically. I mean, it's been a great time here in Philadelphia, and a little sad to leave. We do have our Patriot meetup tonight, so if you're a Patriot and you're in the Philadelphia area, we're going to be at the National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant at 7:00. You can meet me there. We'll have some drinks. We'll chat about stuff. We'll talk about politics. I brought buttons. I got a bag of buttons and some stickers, and we're going to be handing those out. So it's going to be, like I said, a lot of fun. That is 7 p.m. at the National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant here in Philadelphia. But this morning I decided to go out. I was like, I'm going to get some coffee anyway. So let me go out, let me grab my camera, and let me see what people in Philadelphia thought about the debate and who they thought won this debate. And listen very carefully to what I found.
Who do you think won the debate last night? I would think Kamala Harris all day long. Kamala Harris 2024. Let's get it. Who do you think won the debate last night?
Oh, Trump.
Sir, who won the debate last night?
Kamala.
Who won the debate?
Trump.
Who won the debate last night?
Oh, please, not now, bro.
Who won the debate last night?
Trump.
Trump? What do you?
Trump. Kamala.
Oh, wait.
Kamala.
You say Kamala, you say Trump?
Yep, I said Trump.
Okay.
It's Kamala.
Okay, thank you. Who do you think won the debate last night?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Sir, who do you think won the debate last night?
I didn't watch it, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You're probably better off. Who do you think won the debate last night?
Kamala Harris.
Who did?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala, you think Kamala?
Yeah.
Sir, who won the debate last night, would you say?
Definitely not.
Oh, definitely not Kamala. All right, thank you. Sir, who do you think won the debate last night?
Not really.
Who do you think won the debate last night? Can I ask?
I didn't watch.
Sir, can I ask you who you think won the debate last night?
Couldn't tell you. Didn't watch.
All right, cool tattoo. Who do you think won the debate?
I don't really care about either.
Yeah. that was very like, and I'll be honest, that was pretty. It was pretty even. I had a lot of people from foreign countries because I'm in a. Where it was right at it's in the tourist center. That gave weird answers. One of them asked, "Did you watch the debate?" Or I'm sorry, who do you think won the debate? And she said, "Yes, I loved it." So I just kind of kept. I don't think she spoke English. But basically, it was pretty even keel. We had the two dudes for Trump. We had a couple dudes for Kamala. We had the girls who I'm pretty sure got into a fight. They were screaming and yelling all the way down the street. The one said Trump, the one said Kamala, and it was mayhem. I heard them for like 3 blocks screaming and yelling about politics, and I'm glad I had a hand in that because I like to see youngsters. That really get into politics, and if I can help in any way formulate opinions or start debates, then by all means, then that's what I'm here for. But anyway, that's basically what's been going on in Philadelphia. Now we're leaving today, and tomorrow, unfortunately, because of my travel schedule, I don't believe I'll be able to do a live show tomorrow. I'm going to try, but I don't think I can. And so what we'll do is we'll have a lot of videos. We'll have a lot of things posted. If you missed any episodes from, this week or last, feel free to go back and watch. But it may have to be just a solid travel day so I can get back. Home. Also, there's a lot of weather, so I don't want to commit to something that I can't, that I can't actually deliver on. I have, but I just don't like to. I would, but I would hate myself for doing it. Anyway, so more on that coming up later on. But first, let's get back to the debate. I'm not going to go over all of Kamala's lies because her voice, I'll be honest with you, it annoys me. And I was listening to the debate yesterday, and I had to think to myself, God, are these people... they understand that just listening to this woman talk, the way she whines and whimpers and the way she cries about all of these things, the abortion, everyone was talking about how Jon Stewart did a whole monologue on how great her abortion answer was about the woman bleeding out in the car. But I listened to it again and again, and I thought to myself, this point is being lost because the voice, the delivery is so obnoxious. But let's, before we get to the debate, because I know everybody watched it. We all watched it together. We had a blast. Before we get to that, I want to get to some of the crowd reaction because the real question is, how does this translate in the polls? Does this debate move the needle? Does this have any effect on the election? Did this change any minds? Well, we know the effect it had with Newsmax viewers.
Okay, Greg, so we have the results of our Newsmax Snap poll. Your voice was heard, and with 93% of the vote, President Trump won the debate.
All right, I can probably trim that down a little bit, but I do like that. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite clips of all time. But there were other people getting reactions. CNN was getting reactions. CBS was getting reactions. CNN was getting more reaction. Not necessarily the reactions I believe they thought they were going to get. Listen to this woman.
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And
fun fact, by the way, I would totally want Donald Trump in my wedding party, but I digress.
We're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning towards the former president coming in tonight?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did.
Okay, thank you very much. But the fact of the matter is, and she said it really brilliantly, she said, look, we're in a unique position. Both of these people have held high office in this country. Kamala Harris is the vice president, has been for almost 4 years. Donald Trump was the president for 4 entire years. And we can now look at these two and say, okay, who did it better? who did it better. And Kamala Harris wants everybody to forget she's trying to run away from that. It's a really interesting situation, one that I don't think we've ever seen before. Typically people run on their record. She's running, as JD Vance said it, away from her record.
John, what I saw was a lot of slogans. I think the American people are smart, and Kamala Harris talks to them like they're children. She repeats these ridiculous platitudes where if you actually think about what she said, you realize that it doesn't make any sense. She talks a lot about her plans, but then her plans, when you analyze the substance, don't make any sense. And more importantly, John, the American people don't get fed on plans. She has been the vice president for 3.5 years. What she can't do, refuses to do, and has no ability to do is to say, I accomplished lower prices because she didn't, or I accomplished lower housing prices because she didn't, or I secured the southern border because she didn't do that. She has failed as vice president, and the fundamental question is, do we want to give her a promotion? I think the answer has to be no, John.
Yeah, it has to be no. By the way, that wasn't the clip I was looking for. It was actually, he was all over the spin room, that JD Vance guy. Here it is.
No, look, I think that what we saw from Kamala Harris was a lot of platitudes. It was a lot of plans that had no real substance behind them and no real precision behind them. And what is most interesting, and it's really the sort of microcosm of this entire race, is Kamala Harris has a record. Donald Trump has a record. Donald Trump is proud of his record and is running to it. Kamala Harris is running away from her record and pretending that somehow her term as president is going to be radically different from her term as vice president, but she can't actually articulate why. And in fact, to the extent that she articulates it at all, it's by running away from positions that she clearly held just a few years ago or even a few weeks ago.
And that is really the best way to put it. Donald Trump is running to his record. Kamala Harris is running from her record. She wants to get elected president of the United States by telling people, forget everything you know about me. It's all false. Forget everything I did, or more importantly, everything I didn't do. It's all just smoke and mirrors. I'm not that person. I'm a more amazing person. I'm not that amazing person yet because I'm waiting for you to elect me. But as soon as you elect me, then everything's going to be different. This amazing person that I've described to you, I'm going to let her loose. I'm going to keep her in the cage for now. You're still going to get this pointless person that fills the office of vice president for the next 6 months or so. You're still going to get Kamala that does nothing, doesn't go to the border, doesn't secure the border, allows little illegals to pour over the border. You're going to get the Kamala who's in the war room right there with Joe Biden, but allows the Ukraine war to continue and allows Ukraine to get invaded by Vladimir Putin, and doesn't go to meet Benjamin Netanyahu when he comes to a joint session of Congress during a war in the Middle East when you're trying to negotiate a peace settlement. You're going to get that Kamala who complains that she's never been to Europe, so why on earth would she go to the southern border? You're going to get the Kamala who knows that prices are high for everything. Prices are high for gas and for food and for eggs and for baby formula and for housing and for borrowing money. The world is falling apart. Kamala Harris knows all of this. And if you want her to fix it, all you have to do is elect her to be president, because she's not going to do it. That's the bribe. You want all these things fixed, all these terrible things we created? We can do that. But first you have to put me in the White House, and then I'm going to become a totally different person. Here was another one. This was a CBS, I believe, reaction. They had a little, live sampling of voters who were watching the debate, and listen to what this guy said.
He spoke facts. She just basically repeated everything that Biden has said in the past.
What were your thoughts? She made Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this entire moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024, but she didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist moderate stance is just a facade.
I like that. The whole centrist moderate stand is just a facade. That clip, by the way, is the CBS reporter, and she has 5 individuals on the other side of the she has 5 individuals on the other side of the table. And what you can't see if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify is that while that last gentleman was talking, the 2 people on the half of the rest of the panel was nodding in agreement. there's a black gentleman and there's the woman who spoke earlier. I don't know if she's Latino or whatever. But they're both nodding along as he's talking about Donald Trump's closing statement. She's had 3. Why hasn't she done anything? Why? Ask her why not. In fact, I have Donald Trump's closing statement if you missed it. And this was really winning the coin toss and selecting to go last was perfect because this was the last word we got on the debate. The last word didn't belong to Kamala. It didn't belong to David Muir. It belonged to Donald Trump.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation.
And that's really the question that everyone was left with. Why didn't she do it? So Kamala Harris spends 90 minutes lying about Donald Trump, trying to bait him. But that was her whole strategy, by the way. She showed up and she had well-rehearsed, totally scripted and memorized lines and answers for things. And then she had these pre-planned jabs that she was going to take at Donald Trump, like saying people get tired and leave his rallies early. That was meant to get under Donald Trump's skin and rile him up and get him on the offensive. She had another jab where she said, all of the generals that I've spoken with, they say you're a disaster, and putting you in charge of the military would be a disaster. All the people in Europe are laughing at us. They don't want you. They say you're a weak leader, and all the dictators laugh at you. They would love to have you back because you're so weak. And Donald Trump answered all of them. He said, yes, of course, the people, the generals and the people from my cabinet and all these Republicans. Kamala Harris loves to tout the fact that she has these Republicans who are either A, old, B, voted out of office, C, totally corrupt, or D, somebody that Donald Trump fired from his cabinet. And he goes, of course they don't like me. I fired them. You fired nobody. It's a brilliant point. Hire fast, fire faster is a great motto for any and all businesses, industries, and of course, the United States government. If you get fired or if you fire somebody, that person is not going to like you. I've been fired. I don't like any of those people. I mean, a fun fact, I didn't like them really that much before they fired me, and I really dislike them now. But the fact of the matter is, that's how life is. You fire people. Kamala Harris hasn't fired anyone. She hasn't made any enemies because she hasn't done any governing. Joe Biden hasn't made any new enemies because he hasn't done any governing. Alejandro Mayorkas should have been gone long ago, but he's still there. You know, Winston Churchill said, you have enemies, good. That means you took a stand on something once in your life. That's how things should be. The more enemies you have, the more you've stood up for. The more enemies you have, the more that you've done. The more enemies you have, the more people you've looked at and said, you are just doing this totally wrong. Get out. Kamala Harris loves that. As far as Europe goes, yes, Donald Trump says, they don't like me much in Europe. You know why? Because I made them pay their own way. I made them pay up. The Democrats are always like, we want the richest 1% of millionaires and billionaires. We want them to pay their fair share. Just with Bernie Sanders, just pay your fair share. What's his name? Obama guy. What's his name? Barack. Thank you. Barack Obama. I just want to tell Joe the plumber, I want to spread the wealth around a little bit. Donald Trump says, okay, great idea. Let's do it with NATO. Instead of the United States of America foot 95% of the bill for all of the NATO defense with 26 countries at the time, 90% of the bill was being paid for by the United States of America. He goes, you know what? You guys got to start paying your fair share because let's be honest, you guys need NATO way more than we do. You need us. We don't need you. You guys have at it. You've got money. You've got billions of dollars. Germany, France, UK, you're not small economies. Start paying up. And he got billions and billions of dollars as a result. And of course, these NATO countries don't want Donald Trump back because they are pocketing all of this extra cash. And Donald Trump's going to he's going to send him a bill. And he's going to say, we are restricting your services until payment is rendered. And the dictators, that's just a lie. Vladimir Putin last week on live television during an interview endorsed Kamala Harris. She is the handpicked, chosen presidential candidate of the man who wants to bring back the USSR. A communist, murderous, thuggish dictator who invaded Ukraine simply because he has his own glorious global ideals of what Russia should be, has handpicked Kamala Harris as his choice for the next president of the United States. So all of those statements are either stupid or wrong or both. But I digress. There was another guy who said, look, I don't care what Kamala Harris says. I don't care what the Democrats do. I don't care what Joe Biden does. They lost me at Afghanistan.
When I first heard that we were abandoning or we were withdrawing from Afghanistan and the way it was happening, I had my Kennedy moment. It was very similar to when we decided to invade Iraq back under President Bush. And when I saw that we were leaving that amount of high-tech equipment in the hands of our enemy, and later that day or later that week, I saw on the news where them celebrating with our guns in their hands, I realized what a travesty that was. In the loss of money in that we abandoned when we left, plus the very bullets that we left there that they were shooting at us as we flew away into planes.
I mean, the guy's got a point, right? On this, the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, on the Pentagon, in Shanksburg, Pennsylvania, the worst attacks in our country's history. September 11th, 2001 was 23 years ago. And I always remember that because I was married 4 days later on September 15th, 2001, which means my anniversary is coming up. Someone remind me. But I digress. Yesterday, the guy's talking about it and it's right on the eve of the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. Afghanistan, Iraq, all of these wars, these foreign wars we got into because of 9/11. All of these soldiers who've been killed and the innocent people here in the United States on 9/11. All of this stuff comes back to haunting memory, and it makes you realize, and I see a lot of people today saying, forget politics, forget everything. It's all about family. It's all about your loved one. It's all about coming together, and they're not wrong. 9/11 reminds us every year what life is all about. It's all about living. It's all about your family. It's all about what you do with your time on this earth. It's all about the memories you make. It's all about the difference you can make in someone else's life. And with all that, why is it that at this debate, they choose these topics that have absolutely nothing to do with that? They buried Afghanistan. They talked about it they let Kamala Harris get off the hook with the Gold Star families. In fact, all she said about the Afghan withdrawal was that, get this, yes, 13 Marines died, but we saved a bunch of cash.
I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban.
We know who they are. And she was really upset. You know what really upset her about this whole thing? She was really upset that they did it at Camp David, because Camp David apparently is some American sanctuary that I wasn't aware. But all she cared about, she was like, look, I agreed with Joe Biden. Fun fact, the 4 presidents that Joe Biden went and talked to, which also you should never just govern by presidential committee, were all backing Donald Trump's plan. And Donald Trump's plan was to leave the military in, evacuate everybody else, hold Bagram Air Base, and then bring out the unnecessary military personnel. And he did it all by threatening the life of the Taliban leader and his family. We all know the story. If you don't know the story yet, I'll tell it again. Donald Trump brings in the leader of the Taliban to Camp David, and he sits him down, and he hands him a dossier, and the guy opens it up. He goes, "This is my house." And Donald Trump says, "Yes." And he goes, "Why are you showing me a satellite photo of my house?" Hold on, my chair just fell out. "Why are you showing me a satellite photo of my house?" And Donald Trump says, "Think about it. Then, ask around. You'll figure it out." And the guy figured it out. He goes, "Oh, Donald Trump has weapons of mass destruction trained on my home. And look, there are my 19 children and my 3 wives playing in the front yard next to the goats and the chickens and things. I better do what Donald Trump says or their whole thing's going to be obliterated. And probably he'll do it at night when I'm asleep." So that's how Donald Trump led. That's how he got the deal done. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they destroyed the whole thing. Kamala Harris, who, by the way, Kamala Harris is running. She is running so far away from Joe Biden. She's running so far away that she had to remind everybody. She wanted to remind everybody that she is not President Biden.
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump.
By the way, I am shocked. I am shocked that David Muir didn't moderate that and go, "ABC News can confirm that the vice president is not Joe Biden, nor is she Donald Trump." I'm shocked that those didn't come out of her. Didn't come out of her mouth. Anyway, that's what she had. Listen, we're going to get to that here, and we're going to get to the debate. We're going to get to Donald Trump saying, "I'm talking."
14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota.
And the problem Kamala Harris has, and Frank Luntz, who I'm not a big fan of, he pointed this out, and he got a lot of heck fire for it. He took a lot of heat for it, but he was 100% right. Kamala Harris, she didn't lose the debate with her words. She lost it with her demeanor. She lost it with her body language. She lost it in the way she smiled. When there was a moment when she was prattling off. She had this Again, I don't know which Hollywood writers swooped in to help her write her debate lines, but she had this line that she delivered, and she was like, "Let's talk about law and order, because only one of us has been convicted of 34 crimes. Only one of us has been indicted 91 times. Only one of us has stolen state secrets. Only one of us has been found liable for sexual abuse. Only one of us, blah, 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 blah." And we all know, of course, that was the deliberate weaponization of the government against a political adversary by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House, but she was touting it as some kind of feather in her cap, and she was smiling and laughing the whole time about all of this stuff that the average American knows is BS. And as a result, Frank Luntz said she's not coming across. She's not really doing her best. She's not really doing her best. Donald Trump, after his closing ceremonies, he did closing ceremonies. It was like the Olympics. Bum, 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 bum. Now, anyway, after that, he went to the spin room. Now, the spin room, for those of you that don't know, is a big room. What they do is they have the debate, and then after the debate, what they do is they have all the reporters in one room and all the cameras in one room, and then they just have a bevy of people. Just whoom. They just descend. And usually it's spokespeople for the campaign. J.D. Vance, as you heard, was in the spin room, and he was doing a bang-up job. Byron Donalds was also in the spin room. Tim Scott was in the spin room. Vivek Ramaswamy, RFK Jr., the whole shebang. Everybody but Elon was in the spin room. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, in comes Donald Trump. And usually the candidates don't go to the spin room. They leave it to their surrogates. But Donald Trump was like, you know what? I'm going to go answer questions, probably for 2 reasons. Number one is he's got a lot to say. There's 3 reasons. Here we go. The top 3 reasons Donald Trump chose to go to the spin room after the debate. Number one, he knew that the moderators were unfair, that they were unfairly fact-checking him, that they were biased against him, and that they were helping bolster Kamala's image. So he wanted to go in and point that out. And he did. Number 2, he had a lot of stuff that he wanted to say, and he knew Kamala Harris would not be there. That's number 3. He knew that it would be a great foil because Kamala Harris does not like to talk to reporters. She can't talk to reporters. They don't let her talk to reporters. They make her spend weeks on end studying and memorizing pre-planned debate lines. Then they'll send her out for a debate, but they would never not in a million years, ever let this woman near a spin room without anything that they've totally orchestrated beforehand. So Donald Trump rolls into the spin room and he sits down with his old buddy, Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity goes, so why are you here?
What made you come to the spin room?
I just felt I wanted to. I was very happy with the result. It's a very unfair situation. They've weaponized our government politically, so, I mean, that's unfair. And I just felt we had a great night. And I'd come over here. I actually gave a little bit of a news conference. We were swarmed.
Oh, by the way, I could hear it. You were interrupting my show, by the way, just for the record.
I had to come over and do yours. I would hate like heck to leave here, and I didn't do so.
No, I would be mad. I would take that as a personal offense.
I would have been in big trouble.
Okay, all right. So fine. Sean Hannity wouldn't be mad. He'd be totally fine. But then he drops this bombshell, which is interesting. I'm curious to see how most people take this piece of news that we learned yesterday in the spin room immediately after the debate. Listen carefully.
Her campaign is saying tonight, Washington Post is reporting, that she wants a second debate. What's your answer?
She lost. She wants it because she lost.
Do you have an answer?
Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. But if you won the debate, I sort of think maybe I shouldn't do it. Why should I do another debate? She immediately said, we want another debate. That's, you know what happens when you're a prize fighter and you lose? You immediately want a new fight.
You want a rematch.
You want a rematch. The guy that won is sort of happy and thinking about it.
Would you be inclined to say yes, or you
maybe
don't know?
If it was on a fair network, I would do that. But
I think let Hannity moderate it.
Yeah, no, I think
like I did Newsom and Ron DeSantis.
I think it would be fair. You would be fair, actually.
I would be
you
fair.
Want to know the truth.
I'd let you both talk. I'd let you go at each other.
I thought they would be fair. They weren't, but I felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
We have the best policy. She has no policy.
Yeah. So the Kamala Harris campaign, they go to the Washington Post and they go, we want a second debate. This is weird for a couple of reasons. Number one, the first reason is that they've been ducking debates. There were supposed to be three, count them, three debates. The first one was supposed to be last week on Fox News, September the 4th. Brett Baer, Martha McCallum, Donald Trump, Pennsylvania. They were going to do that was going to be the very first debate. And Kamala Harris said, nah, niente, no. And then she said, I'll agree to this second debate, which happened last night here in Pennsylvania at the National Constitution Center. And then there was supposed to be a third debate on, I believe, CBS News. And she never committed to that one either. And everybody thought, okay, we're going to have one debate. We're going to do one debate. And then last night, every single news network, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, of course, all of these weirdo liberals, they were all just drooling over Kamala Harris's performance. Chris Wallace was like, this was outstanding. I didn't think I'd ever see a debate performance. This reminds me of Joe Biden and Donald Trump 3 months ago, but this time Kamala Harris is Donald Trump and Donald Trump is Joe Biden and his career's over and all this other mess. That's what so everyone's like, wow, Kamala won this debate. Kamala won this debate. Well, if she won the debate, if it was a knockout performance, if it was the career-ending debate performance that all of these networks were touting, why would she want a second one? Why would she want another one? And the answer is because they don't think that they won the debate. They don't think if they thought they won the debate, they would be like, see ya. Word like George Costanza, good night, everybody. Go out on a high note, right? If you have the championship belt, you don't say, let's fight again. You say, I may retire now. It's going to take a whole lot of money for me to come out of retirement and go back to Vegas and fight Jake Paul or whomever you want me to fight. That's how it works. The big winners, they want to stay winners. And if Kamala Harris was truly a big winner last night, she does not want another debate at all. Donald Trump called into Fox and Friends with our good buddy Brian Kilmeade, whose name I dropped yesterday. I don't know I think I showed this last night. Let me show it again. So I'm there's a couple of hotels here in Philly. And if you're coming in for an event downtown in this particular area, you stay at one of two hotels. You stay at the hotel I'm staying at, or you stay at the hotel Kamala Harris is staying at. And I chose to stay at this hotel, but I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people at this hotel. And let me show you who I ran into in the lobby yesterday. I was walking out and I was about to go do some man on the street stuff. And I'm walking through the lobby and look who I see from Fox News. It's Peter Doocy, the Deuce, fresh from terrorizing Corinne Jean-Pierre. That's me on my tippy toes, by the way. I am not, he's super tall. I'm not that tall. And so I did one of those tippy toe things. I do the same thing with Laura Trump because she's like 6'7". everyone's tall. I don't know how all these conservatives became super tall. But anyway, so Peter Doocy's there, and I go up to him, I go, Peter, can I please take a photo? And he looks at me, and I could tell the answer is going to be no. So I go, I'm Mark Kaye. I used to work with Brian Kilmeade on the radio. And he goes, oh, okay. Had no idea who I was, I guarantee. But at least dropping Brian Kilmeade's name worked. So I got the photo, and then I posted it. But yeah, I totally dropped Kilmeade's name. Kilmeade's not tall. I should point that he's shorter than I am. But Peter Doocy was... I had a point to all of this. What was my point? Oh, yeah. So Fox and Friends. So Brian Kilmeade is on Fox and Friends today, and Donald Trump calls in, and they asked him the question about the second debate. They said, look, Kamala Harris wants a second debate. Would you do it? Listen to the answer that Donald Trump gave, because they were not prepared for this at all.
Mr. President, I know when we started the interview, you said that you felt that you won the debate last night, your best ever. I think before the debate happened last night, the Kamala Harris people said that they would actually like to do another debate in October. And I know that last night Fox News sent letters to your campaign and her campaign offering 3 dates of debates moderated by Martha and Brett. One is October 9th in Arizona.
Well, I wouldn't want to have Martha and Brett. I'd love to have somebody else other than Martha and Brett. I'd love to have, frankly, Sean or Jesse or Laura. Somebody else. Let's give other people a shot. But I didn't think Martha and Brett were good last night. I thought Jesse was fantastic last night. What he said, Jesse really got it. Jesse said Trump won that debate. We won that debate by a lot. No, I wouldn't want Martha involved.
Okay, Mr. President,
but I would take some others.
So now you've got Donald Trump, and he's handpicking his debate moderators like he's ordering a burrito bowl at Chipotle. He's like, no, I don't want this. I don't want the chicken, but I do want the carnitas. I don't want the steak. It was kind of tough last time and a little too spicy, but I want the carnitas. No, I don't want the steak. I want the carnitas, and I want the white rice. Not because I'm racist. I just prefer white rice. It's easier on my digestion. That's what he's like. Okay, I'll do Fox News, but I won't do Martha McCallum. I'm not going to do Brett Baier, but I will do Jesse Waters or Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or hell, all 3 of them. Take your pick. This is the future. This is what's going on. These debates have become so weaponized. These debates have become such, clown shows. It's a circus. ABC News is not the ABC News that it used to be growing up. Peter Jennings and all these other big names that came out of it, sure, they were probably biased and corrupt and left-leaning and all that other stuff. I mean, he was Canadian, so we know that he was probably had some socialist blood in him. All Canadians do, except this one. But the fact of the matter is that they would never perform the way that David Muir performed at this debate yesterday. They would never moderate a presidential debate the way that this presidential debate was, quote unquote, moderated. It was a travesty. It was disgusting. And it has destroyed the credibility of ABC News, which means there won't be another ABC News debate. Not for Donald Trump, not for Republicans. Any Republican, Ron DeSantis, if he runs next time around, J.D. Vance, if he runs for president, Vivek Ramaswamy, any of these people, they're not going to agree to an ABC debate. And if they agree to a Fox News debate, they're going to handpick the moderators. That's what we've come down to, because we all know, look, we know that content is king. We know that Donald Trump is the star. Nobody's tuning into the debate for Kamala Harris. Nobody's tuning into the debate for Brett Baier. Nobody's tuning into the debate for David Muir or Linsey Davis. They're tuning in for Donald Trump, and he gets to call all of the shots. And he didn't have to agree to the ABC debate. He could have said, no, I did CNN with Joe Biden. The next debate's going to be on Fox, and she can either show up or she won't, or there will be no debate. And he probably should have stuck to that. Forced her to go into the lion's den. Instead, Donald Trump gladly and proudly and courageously walks into these gladiator pits where he's pummeled on all sides by multiple adversaries, not just the other opponent, not just Kamala Harris, but the moderators from ABC News. And he does it willingly, and he does it gladly, and he walks out and he goes, that was fun. And he walks right into the spin room, and he does it even more. And it's really kind of interesting. It's really kind of interesting to see. He did reiterate, of course, his big line, which I think is the big takeaway from the debate. And I'll tell you what, he's right about that. He's right about that. He got the final word in, and he said, I wanted to save it for my summation, because she spent 90 minutes talking about all these horrible things Donald Trump has done, all these amazing things that she's going to do. And then Donald Trump looks into the camera and goes, yeah, why didn't she do it? Why didn't she do it? Because she doesn't want to, or she doesn't know how, or probably both. Why didn't she do it? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the key to this debate. I do want to get to some of the debate clips, because there were some highlights that I really appreciated and I didn't anticipate. Before we do that, though, I want to thank everybody who's watching. Remind you to please subscribe to this channel. If you're watching on Rumble, we have a lot of people on Rumble. If you're watching on YouTube, we have a ton of people on YouTube as well. Wherever you are, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notifications, because we are live like this every single day, noon to 1-ish Eastern time. We do a lot of specials. We're posting a lot of clips. I've been running around Philadelphia trying to get as much content out into the world as possible, so you understand the truth, so you see what's actually happening here in the city, what's actually happening here on the ground, what's actually happening in this battleground state. So wherever you're watching, Rumble or YouTube or Facebook or X or Get or wherever, please make sure you subscribe and also hit the notifications button. If you're listening to the podcast, God love you. We love our podcasters, and I know that number is growing by the day, and it's fun because you're in your car, you're working out, you're doing Pilates, maybe you're on a plane. Who knows? I don't know where you are. I can't track you. I'm not. I mean, maybe I could figure out how, but I'm not going to. I just want you to enjoy this content, share this content, be entertained, be informed, be enlightened, be inspired. I want all of that for you. And that's why we deliver a daily. And all you need to do is subscribe. Let Spotify know, hey, I like this Mark Kaye Saves the Republic stuff. It's pretty gosh darn good. Let iTunes know, hey, I want more Mark Kaye Saves the Republic every single day. Please keep delivering it to my cell phone without me asking. And then the other thing we want you to do is swing by the Mark Kaye shop, because we have a ton of really cool merchandise that we put together. Let me bring it up here for you. And it's I'm excited to see who's wearing what at our get together tonight, because we have the Brighter Future collection. This is from Donald Trump's RNC speech. At the very end of his speech, he stood up on stage, and as he accepted the nomination, he uttered the words, "America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. Trump 2024." And so we put that on a line of apparel, which is just fantastic. We've also got the MAGA King shirts. We've got the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic official line, as well as our Patriot gear and our Mark Kaye signature gear, which people have been really enjoying, and they've been scooping it up. And while we're here, let me also remind you that Donald Trump won the Newsmax snap poll with 93% of the vote.
Okay, Greg, so we have the results of our Newsmax snap poll. Your voice was heard, and with 93% of the vote, President Trump won the debate.
I love that. 93% of the vote. That's like one of Dane Cook's TikTok polls. That's like one of, oh, by the way, speaking of Dane, I didn't want to bring this up, but I should probably bring this up. Taylor Swift came out. Yeah, I don't know why this is big news. Taylor Swift came out yesterday, and she announced on her Instagram that she was going to, I'm trying to pull it up here real quick, that she was supporting Donald Trump. And she trolled JD Vance because she held up a picture of her cat. And she also mentioned that she was a childless cat lady. Let me see if I have it here. This is her. Yeah, this is last night. And now keep in mind, for those of you that are like, this had to have been planned, just know fully that this was planned. This post from Taylor Swift came out just minutes after the debate wrapped up. Just minutes after the debate. She and her cat they pledged their love for, what's his name? Tim Walz. They pledged their love for Taylor Swift and her cat. Everybody. They were like, oh my God, this is just amazing. Well, look, if you didn't think that Taylor Swift was going to endorse Kamala Harris, you're not really paying attention. This is not a shocking thing. This was something we knew was going to happen. This is something we knew was going to be happening all along. She already endorsed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris back in 2020 when she baked the cookies. We all know her stance on pretty much every issue. And it was just a matter of time. Kamala Harris and her campaign coordinated with Taylor Swift to have it done during the debate. But again, I think it kind of fell flat. I don't know why, I have a guess, but moments or minutes afterward, right after the post was put up, the comments got a little out of control, and now the comments from that post have been disabled. By the way, Brittany Mahomes still a staunch Trump supporter. But anyway, this whole thing kind of got out of hand for the Democrats, and I don't know that these celebrity endorsements are going to be working the way they used to. Also, they were trying to troll Donald Trump about this cat eating story, which we've talked about a couple times, and it came out of Ohio, where indeed, and again, they were falsely fact-checking Donald Trump during the debate, but indeed, there are police reports of pets being eaten by these Haitian immigrants. Here's the CNN back and forth with Jason Miller.
Jason, one of the moments that has obviously been replayed quite a bit this morning, as well as last night after the debate, was this moment where Donald Trump talked about people in Springfield. He didn't mention which Springfield, but people in Springfield eating their pets. I want to watch that moment briefly, and we'll talk about it on the other side. Take a look.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
Now, the officials in this town have said that this is not true, this is not happening. And even the Wall Street Journal editorial board wrote overnight that Harris won the debate, and they say it was because she came in with a strategy to taunt and goad Mr. Trump into diving down rabbit holes. They say he always takes the bait. Ms. Harris set the trap, so he spent much of the debate talking about the past, about Joe Biden, or about immigrants eating pets, but not how he'd improve the lives of Americans in the next 4 years.
By the way, before we get to his answer, I think I may have just ruined that. But by the way, before we get to that, we may actually not get to his answer because there's like another. It's like a 3-part question she asked. She's like, what? First of all, the report on pets is real. There are YouTubers out there with video cameras that have caught footage of these people in Ohio getting ducks out of the park. There is a very popular video going around on X of a woman and a cat. There are multiple police reports that are now coming out where we see people are complaining. They're trying to go to the city council, but the city council isn't letting them talk. They're complaining about the onslaught of Haitian migrants who have been dumped there, flown in by Kamala Harris and the Joe Biden administration. And these people, they're hungry. They don't have food. They don't have money. They were dropped there by Joe Biden. So what do? They see a cat, they see some other animal, and they go for it. And David Muir said that's not happening. But clearly, there is factual evidence and news reports and complaints and video footage on YouTube that can back that up. But they said, it's just Kamala Harris taunting and trying to get him to go down the rabbit holes. And the problem is the Washington Post says that was her strategy. And they say she succeeded. Good job. Instead of saying that's a horrible strategy. Shouldn't your strategy coming into a debate be to say, here's what I believe, here's what I think will help America, here's how I plan to help Americans, here's how I plan to fix our problems, and here's why you should elect me. She didn't do that at all. She set these traps. She dragged him down rabbit holes. She tried to get him to get all riled up. And to me, I walked away going, Donald Trump was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was exactly what I thought Donald Trump would be. He didn't surprise me. He didn't disappoint me. He didn't, I thought there were moments that were great. I loved that he had all the zingers of the night. Like he turned her classic I'm speaking line right around on her.
14 or 15 different policies. Like she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
I mean, I loved it. He'd had another line a little while later. She tried to interrupt him again because even though the mics were supposed to be muted, she's very loud. And at one point they, forgot to mute her mic and she just started trouncing all over him. But listen to this one. This to me was way more powerful.
Please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow much happier than he is right now.
He doesn't even pay her any mind. He just treats her like the child that she is. He's talking about Putin. Putin would be in Moscow. He'd be sitting there. She yells something. He just goes, quiet, please. And she shuts up. She knows. She knows who's in charge. Donald Trump says, quiet, please. And the woman who thinks she can have his job is quiet. If you're the president of the United States or the vice president of the United States or anybody, and somebody looks at you and says, quiet, please, the last thing you should do is be quiet. But Kamala Harris knows there's only one alpha in the room, and it's definitely not her. And then I loved this line too, because again, it's true. It's one of these things where you think to yourself, what is the average uninformed voter, the person that maybe doesn't follow politics as closely as we do, might think that this is Donald Trump just saying some wackadoodle stuff. But the fact of the matter is, this is an honest statement. This really happened.
But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now.
Okay, so and it's true. Kamala Harris is the not just vice president of the United States. I mean, let's start there. She's vice president of the United States, and she wants to be president of the United States, but she's the president of the Senate. She's the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. And this was a joint session of Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, of which Kamala Harris is the president. So wouldn't you think that if Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, during a war with Hamas and Palestine and all these other crazy people that want to see Israel wiped off the map, wouldn't you think that when they're trying to negotiate a ceasefire agreement, wouldn't you think that during a joint session of Congress, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the president of the Senate should all be in attendance? Kamala Harris was not. Where was she? She was, no joke, as Joe Biden would say, at a sorority party. She went to a sorority. I like the way Donald Trump says it better.
But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers.
She was at a sorority. It wasn't her first. She went to multiple sorority parties, by the way, that week. She went to multiple of them. But look, it was just the same tired old rhetoric. It was lie after lie after lie. She went back into she pulled up every lie she could about Donald Trump, the suckers and losers. Oh, the Charlottesville. She started talking about the tiki torches again.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches.
And singing Jimmy Buffett songs and drinking margaritas. Listen, I got to tell you, this to me was the biggest problem with the debate and shows the biggest problem we have with our media and with these moderators. Here's how this went down. They needed to get into some way for Kamala Harris to talk about what a racist Donald Trump was. So David Muir asks Donald Trump a question about his appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists, the NABJ. And you may remember Donald Trump was sitting up there and they were asking her about Kamala Harris being an Indian, being a black one. He goes, I don't know what she was an Indian, I read. And then all of a sudden she decided to become a black person. And that was the big headline for a couple of days. And they tried to paint Donald Trump as a racist. So David Muir asks him about that. He goes, Mr. President, you were at the National Association of Black Journalists and you said you didn't know Kamala Harris was a black woman, that she turned black. And he read verbatim what he said. And Donald Trump said, frankly, I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care if she's Indian. I don't care if she's black. I don't care. All I care about is that she's a disaster for this country. All I care about is that she has done nothing. Why hasn't she done it? That's all I care about. She is black, white, Indian. Doesn't matter. You know what she is? The vice president of the United States. Why hasn't she done any of this stuff that she said she wanted to do. And it wasn't the answer that Kamala Harris had prepared for, because she awkwardly launched into this whole thing about Charlottesville. And the way this whole equation works is David Muir asks Donald Trump a question about race. Donald Trump answers the question about race. And then Kamala Harris launches into a tirade about how all Donald Trump talks about is somebody's race. You paying attention? That's how these things work. That's how these moderators fix the debate. Let's talk about race, Mr. Trump. I don't care about race. He's just always talking about race. He's a racist. Remember years ago with the tiki torch bearing dudes in Charlottesville?
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Yeah. Let's pause for a moment and listen to David Muir as he fact checks Kamala Harris on that point. Let's listen for just a minute. I don't are my headphones working? I don't hear. Let's one more time. Maybe I missed it.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
David, that's your cue. David, psst. Mr. Fact Checker. Mr. I love to fact check. That's a fact. You need to. No, did you not see? Listen, did you guys not get Snopes over there at ABC TV? Is that blocked? This is Snopes. No, Snopes. Literally, this is one of the most liberal organizations on the planet. No, Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. Right there by Tyja Perry Cook. Fact. Let's go down the bottom. False. Look, there's the big red X. False. Where was David fact checker Muir when Kamala Harris was spouting lies about Donald Trump calling white supremacists very fine people? Oh, no, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear a damn thing. Anyway, that's basically how the debate was. I don't know if there's going to be a second debate. I really don't know if there's going to be a second debate. I kind of hope there won't be, but if there is, guess what? We'll be right here. We'll be right here too. In fact, wherever that debate is, I'll probably have to travel there too. I hope it's maybe it'll be in Florida. Could we get the debate scheduled for someplace closer to my house? Maybe within driving distance. Maybe so I could sleep in my own bed. That'd be kind of nice, and use my own studio. If anyone out there, Fox News is listening, or CBS, or anyone else Newsmax. Oh, they have a lovely studio in Boca Raton, Florida. Beautiful. It's 10 minutes from Mar-a-Lago. And I know Florida's not a swing state, so it probably won't happen, but it's lovely this time of year. There's no better place to be in October and late September than in West Palm Beach, Florida, or Boca Raton. So if I have any say, if anyone is watching, if anyone's listening, and you're spitballing locations for the next debate, Newsmax, Boca Raton, Florida, or hell, just have it at Mar-a-Lago. They have plenty of space. That'd be fantastic. I know who won't be there though. Brett Baer and Martha McCallum, because Donald Trump doesn't want them. Listen, tonight, so exciting, at the National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant in lovely downtown Philadelphia, we are going to be having a little Patriot meet and greet. So if you're a Patriot, if you're a brand new Patriot, if you're a long-standing Patriot, you can come on in and you can join us for a tasty beverage. Maybe we'll do some. Here, let me pull up the information so you can see it here. Maybe we'll do some apps. We'll see what happens. We got a lot of super chats last night from people that were like, "Oh, get some apps for everybody." I want to go here. Yeah, there it is. Look, 15 people have responded. That's great. 15 people have responded. It looks like we've got 7 people going, and we've got, I guess, 8 people who are thinking about going. Either way, we'll be there at 7 o'clock tonight, the National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant. The address is there. There's a little map if you want a little map to get there, and we would love to see you. I'll bring buttons. I'll bring stickers. It's going to be such fun. Live Patriot meet and greet in person, IRL. As the kids like to say, IRL. I hope to see you all there. Probably like 99% sure we will not have a live show tomorrow. Sorry, but I got to try. I got a flight to catch. And again, with the rain and with the weather and everything else, I have to get to the airport in a timely fashion. I have to make sure that I'm all checked in. But we will be back definitely Friday. No questions. Friday will be live. Friday will be incredible. And then we'll be back all next week with a whole slew of fantastic shows. Listen, it's September 11th. Say a prayer for all of those that were lost. Say a prayer for all of those brave men and women who lost their lives just because they were trying to, go around this country, go find their loved ones, do work, make an honest living. And of course, the heroes, the EMTs, the firefighters, the police officers, everybody who rushed into the buildings on 9/11 and never came out. Say a prayer for them today and every day, really. And of course, those that they left behind, their families and their loved ones. They're really what makes America the greatest country in the entire world. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, set the notifications, and keep listening, keep tuning in, keep watching our content. Share it with others. I always say, you don't have to say what I'm already saying this stuff. So if you're like, you know what, I don't know how to proselytize. I'm embarrassed to speak publicly. I don't like to get into fights with my friends or families. I don't know how to bring up politics. Don't worry about it. I've already done it all. Just share the link. Send them a video. Send them a TikTok. Send them the podcast and say, hey, this is cool. Listen to this. Maybe you'll learn a thing or two, because that's what we try to do. We try to inform. We try to entertain. We try to inspire, and we try to enlighten people. And the more people that we can entertain, inform, enlighten, and inspire, the better chance we have of winning and taking back our country, and the better chance we all have of saving the republic.